So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. And I kind of always wanted a phone like this that was compact like the 17 Pro, but also gives you the performance like a beast. And that's what this phone is right here with the latest Snapdragon CPU, 12 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gig storage. Let's go ahead. Let me turn this off first. We're going to go ahead and start this video with a boot up test. But yeah, this also does have a pretty similar design, but I do like this venture green color right here. Let's go ahead and begin with a boot up in 3, 2, go. And Xiaomi did send this phone out for the channel, so shout outs to them for making this video possible. We will see how these things boot up. Usually Android phones can sometimes boot up faster, sometimes not, but we'll just see what happens here. Xiaomi's HyperOS is on board here along with Android 16. And who's going to get there first? The Xiaomi phone gets there first. That's a good sign to start things off. And you will have that in-display fingerprint sensor there, a smaller punch hole than a dynamic island, which I definitely don't always love on the smaller 17 Pro because it does stick out like a sore thumb on this phone. Okay, guys, now let's go ahead and look at their biometric unlocking. So with the Xiaomi 17, you do get that in-display fingerprint sensor, and over here you do Face ID. So if you always wanted like a 17 Pro like phone, smaller kind of compact feel, this Pro flagship right here will give you a nice in-display fingerprint sensor. You could also use a face unlock up there, but for this one, for this battle, I will say that the iPhone 17 Pro is slightly slower to unlock simply because you just have to know where the fingerprint is on this Xiaomi 17 right here and you'll be right in. Look at that. I could barely even look at it. The last time I felt a phone that felt this nice and compact and flagship was back when I had I think it was the Galaxy S10e. So I'm really digging this smaller, more compact size. I feel like more brands should do this. They should make flagship level phones in a more compact form factor. It would be nice to always get some top specs there as well. But definitely this one's going to go to the Xiaomi on unlocking speeds. So you can see right here on the Xiaomi 17, it is 12 gigs of RAM plus 6 gig booster. You will see right here 8 Elite Gen 5. That's an octa-core CPU with a max clock speed of 4.6 gigahertz. If I go over here to Geekbench 6, you're going to see we do have ourselves plenty of clock speed right there on here. So we'll run that test later, Android 16. But generally on the home screen here, the HyperOS is definitely pretty speedy. It also does have some pretty nice animations when you kind of scroll over there. They don't look too bad whatsoever. And I don't see any major choppiness or nothing like that. So definitely a pretty decent experience here. And there's not much bloatware on this phone either. So I don't really see anything. This is the global model, by the way. So definitely pretty nice there on the home screen. So over here on the 17 Pro, this does have the A19 Pro, 4.26 gigahertz, 12 gigs of RAM, 26.3. And yeah, as we scroll through here, it's pretty smooth as well. Now, when we kind of look through here, let's see which one actually looks a little snappier. I feel like the iPhone is a little bit slower looking to swipe through, but it's pretty minimal. You don't really notice too much of a difference. They also kind of got that same kind of effect over here. The Xiaomi kind of flies in from the corner though. You can kind of see it kind of flies in from that corner. iOS kind of just bounces straight down, so that's a little bit different. But they both got that like translucent look in the quick panels and control areas of these phones. All right, guys, so here we are at the app test. Let's go ahead and make sure everything is closed out on both phones. And you can see now everything is closed. We'll go ahead and begin with calendar. And that one, I think, was Xiaomi. You can see right there, kind of the same on that one. They do have very, very similar shapes, very similar feel. And even animations a little faster there on the right. Let's go to Play Store App Store. That was faster on the right. You're getting like smooth animations here with these 17 Xiaomi devices while getting also nice speed as well. You can see right there, faster on the right. We'll go into Gemini and that launched a little bit quicker on the right as well. We'll go into Copilot, a little bit faster on the Xiaomi device. We'll go, okay guys, so let's go into Groupon here on both phones. You could see a little bit faster on the Xiaomi device. We'll go over here to Instagram and we'll see what happens. That's a little faster on the Xiaomi device as well. And we'll go to this 17 Pro post. I didn't actually click those at the same time, but you can see when in application, both are relatively smooth. This HyperOS is actually looking pretty good. You know what I really like about all phones these days is that they're all getting super smooth. For some reason, while the iPhone is a little bit slower, when I'm scrolling, it looks choppier. I'm just saying here on Twitter, on X, this is kind of scrolling smoother on the right. Let's go into Google News and we'll go over here to technology and we'll just read about some technology. You'll see, there you go. Pretty smooth on both phones. Subway Surfers. I probably got to get Subway Surfer City soon. That's the new version. You'll see that was faster on the iPhone, and typically the iPhone tends to pull ahead when we get into gaming. Now, the Xiaomi Phone 17 does have a game turbo mode, which actually will boost performance in games. And for some reason, I wasn't tapping properly, but the Xiaomi does have a dedicated game mode. Now, the iPhone turns on that game mode as well, but I'm saying you can kind of have extra gaming performance on both. So it's not really like one is going to be way better than the other. It's just down to which games you want to play on iOS versus Android. That's probably going to matter a bit more to you. All right, guys, so let's go to Free Fire here. And you'll see Free Fire is going to go first here. Looking like the Xiaomi's ahead here. Here comes the iPhone, but the iPhone does sometimes catch up and then win. No, the Xiaomi device. This is really shocking to me. I don't really see. So let's head into Call of Duty Mobile on both. This has been a pretty telling story for this Xiaomi 17 series. These phones perform excellent. And so, yeah, due to that login, the Xiaomi took a little bit longer, but it was on the way to winning that one too. Let's go into Destiny Rising. iPhone shows the screen first. We'll see which one actually loads it first though. And I think one of the reasons the Xiaomi device might be winning most of these tests is because the device or apps is because the device does have a higher clock speed. And this chip is technically from 2025. This is going to be the chip of the year here with this Snapdragon Elite 8 Gen 5. So we'll see. Okay, this got caught up. So we're going to give this one the iPhone on Destiny Rising. I don't know what happened here. This is not a download. Let's see. Is it a download? No, new version detected. Okay, it was probably a download that caused that. You know, sometimes these things happen, even though I'll literally test these phones right before I make the video, and then they start downloading stuff literally right in the video. It's like an update will come out right before the speed test or whatever. Once in game, both of them are plenty fine. The iPhone takes the W there. Whoa, that swipe out on the iPhone looked a little bit laggy. Let's go ahead and go to Gameloft. But the 17 Pro is still the 17 Pro. Like, it's going to have better resale. It's going to be the more probably sought after device in some areas. But it's nice to have some competition here in terms of choice. We'll see right there. It'd be nice to see how this phone does in Wildlife Extreme in a minute. We'll go into Geekbench 6, faster on the left. InShot, faster on the right by a little bit. And Speed Test, faster on the left. So iPhone won about 3 or 4 apps, but the Xiaomi won more. So I'm going to give it the win here in the app test. Also, I did notice the animations were more consistent, surprisingly, for the HyperOS over here versus the iOS over here. The iOS was, some of the apps just looked a little choppy closing. So Apple needs to work on animations again, even though they usually had the best animations for a while. All the competitors have caught up and they're starting to outdo them now. So it's time, I think, we see a refinement, a polish to iOS, because while it's still a beautiful software, I do want to see more beautiful animations continue to improve on there. Let's go into RAM management now. So iPhone, always so pleasing to use when it comes to relaunching applications. The problem, though, is I can't split screen. I can't do anything more than one app. So it better be smooth, because I constantly got to go switch between apps, which I don't tend to love on the iOS experience, but I do tend to love how it always holds these apps, even if they're not technically held. It's a screenshot. It just visually, it just looks good. It always looks good, and it's always been the one that I think is the better option. So let me go ahead now and open up the apps here and see what happens on the Xiaomi 17. All right, so let's hit up the Xiaomi 17, and you could see the animations actually look slightly slower here. All right, the Xiaomi device did reload, I think, Asphalt. Let's see what happens here. Call of Duty open, Free Fire relaunching. Okay, this phone probably does that thing where it kind of like closes some apps to keep performance good in the background, because that's what I'm kind of seeing here. Subway Surfers held fine, or at least those games it did. Twitter reloading the feed. Instagram. So the animations do look faster on iOS here going through them, and I don't think this phone is winning in this department when it comes to relaunching the apps. It just looks a little bit slower. I'm sure I could change that in developer options and that, but I like to go with the way it is default for the speed tests. And an extremely close score here, 3817 on 17 Pro. On the 17 device over here, 3372. It did lose there. And then in the multi-core, nearly identical with a slight win to the iPhone 17 Pro. Not surprised whatsoever, but I do think the Xiaomi device is going to take the W in this extreme wildlife test. So let's go ahead and get that done, and I'll be right back. And as I might have expected, the 17 Pro actually loses here in the wildlife extreme test to the Xiaomi 17, 5409 versus 5254. This is kind of interesting though, because if you look at the average frames, we're nearly talking 1 frame per second difference. So again, I think what you're seeing this 1% difference, you're seeing that if you've always wanted an Android phone that was like the 17 Pro and kind of the shape, the feel, the camera setup and speed performance, this Xiaomi 17 is one you should take a serious look at. It also does have a nice pro camera system as well with Leica imaging on here. So definitely this is probably a great move for you right there, but we're going to end it here. I will say that the Xiaomi 17 does feel faster in a lot of areas, and the iPhone 17 still giving you that iOS, going for a smoother animation, but still super powerful, really nice and polished. I do think Apple needs to improve on a little bugs here and there, but overall you can't go wrong either way. But the all-new Xiaomi 17 is definitely a solid alternative to something like a iPhone 17 Pro, or if it's your main pick, it's a solid compact flagship. I would like to see way more compact flagships make their way onto the market. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you found this video helpful, entertaining, or just informing, or maybe even just fun to watch, let us know with a thumbs up, and I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.